All right, welcome to Hypnosis Hero. It looks like we are live on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and all points in between by the looks of it. So that sounds like a success all the way around. I think that's the first time in a long time that we've actually hit it straight off the mark. We're welcome to everybody in. Let us know who you are and where you're joining from. If you've got questions for our guest, of course, you can always post those in the chat as things roll along. Um, we are always more than happy to engage in questions. All right. That said, somebody who's maybe a questionable kind of a guy. He's groaning already. That was a great segue, though. That was a great segue. Welcome, my co-host, Mr. Brian Bay. Yay!
New phone, who dis?
Brian, you've got a good sense of humor because you're one of the only guys that can take my teaching sense of humor and still run with it.
Oh God, there's a response for that, but we have to be clean for the first, I think, was it 3 or 5 minutes of YouTube or TikTok, or we get demonetized. So
yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll get to it. A few people starting to join in on TikTok as well, so that's good. If you have questions for our guest tonight, feel free to post them in the chat, and I'll ask them live. In the meantime,
we should probably throw out get place your bets on the friend or frenemy thing, so we at least get out in front of that a little bit early.
Yeah, we'll mention it again. I'll make a note. Mark Barris is joining us. Mark, thank you so much for helping us promote the show. Always good to have you in the audience. I hope you are doing well.
Yeah, so it's what's the latest and greatest with you, Shawn?
Well, we just came through Labor Day. My Saskatchewan Roughriders beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, so all is right with the world. Although, if you go back and look at the game, they really do need to step up their what's the word I want to use? Killer instinct. It's frustrating when you watch a football team and they keep letting the other team back into the game. There were about 6 instances throughout the game where they should have squashed him, and we only wound up winning by 4, and it was a last-minute interception on a 2-point convert. And so we ran it back for the extra 2 points.
Okay, when you said interception and 2-point conversion, I was like, okay, are we talking about football, or
we're talking about
metric football?
So this is the CFL. It was around longer than the NFL. The cup is older, and actually, those cups came about. I'm actually drinking the tea, Earl Grey, the Grey cup.
Oh, very
guy. Cool. But Lord Stanley and Earl Grey, they seem to have this little bit of a thing, trying to one up each other. So,
right,
one of them got hockey, and the other one got what was then the rugby league.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm fine with Lord Stanley taking the hockey side of things.
All right,
because that cup is gigantic.
Well, it is now, yeah. And actually, the Grey Cup has grown up quite a bit as well. Becca's here with us. Becca, hey. Football is well across the pond.
Yeah. So we've got I think we've got some news. We're starting to refine some of the Performing Hypnosis Summit.
Oh yeah.
Speakers and getting that underway, but definitely book your reservations now, because you're going to blink 3 times and mid-December is going to be here before you know it.
Well, and just to give you a case in point, today we had a meeting. Go Doug Flutie. Okay, so somebody knows that there was a certain quarterback that played in the CFL. I loved his playing style. I hated the fact that he never played for us. There was a point where he almost did, and that would have been awesome. But Doug Flutie was an absolute terror on the football field in Canada. And, he didn't quite get to be as big as the guy who was here before him, somebody named Warren Moon.
Oh,
Played 5 years for the Edmonton Eskimos and won 5 Grey Cups. And then
came
to Minnesota.
and then came and kicked some ass in the NFL.
Yeah. So that run and gun, those guys perfected it. So all right, we've got a few people here in TikTok land. Listen, if you've got questions for our guest when he comes on, please feel free to pop them in the chat. Let everybody else know that we're here, and we are going to be here for the next couple of hours. No, not new glasses, Sammy. These. I just don't generally wear them when I'm this close to a screen. Brian right now is almost out of phase. You're a little fuzzy.
That could be taken so many ways, Shawn.
It's all good. It's all good. All right. We should actually get on to introducing our guest because we have a returning champion with us, and it is going to be absolutely awesome. We've been talking about this interview now for a couple of weeks, back and forth, and as always, this gentleman has lots on the go. Performing Hypnosis Summit. And I think what I was going to say right before I introduce our guest, the case in point is this: we had a meeting earlier today, and the Michigan International Hypnosis Conference is almost full. There might be a few hotel rooms left. The tickets you can only get now at the door, and we still have 2 weeks to go before we get to the actual conference. So if you are planning on going to the Michigan International Hypnosis Conference, check in with Dan Goyette and make sure things are good. There's a ticket for you, and then make sure you book your hotel room as soon as possible. I believe our hotel block is done in December, if I recall correctly.
So, as far as the PHS?
Yeah, as far as the special pricing for the Performing Hypnosis Summit. So make sure you get your book your hotel room. You can always cancel. If you want to wait on the airline tickets and whatnot, that you can do.
Don't even wait on those. For Performing Hypnosis Summit, we need to be reservations need to be finalized on at least a deposit made on or before December 21st. So a couple days before Christmas, and go on the website. It's easy to find. If you don't want to jump online, there's a phone number to call. There's a group code, everything like that. They will take wonderful care of you. And looking at some of the pictures of the freshly renovated rooms, it's pretty awesome. They did a wonderful, wonderful job. I'm really looking forward to it. But you definitely want to. We had a conversation with Joe Beth about air travel and miles and stuff like that. You definitely want to fly. You book your tickets early, because last minute flights, the prices go through the roof.
But do it on a Tuesday, because that's when they're the cheapest.
Yeah, I think we're looking at maybe coming in on either a Tuesday or Wednesday. Usually flying middle of the week, especially to a destination like Las Vegas. Earlier middle part of the week is going to be the best, and then don't fly out on a Sunday if you can avoid it, because that's everybody's.
Time I did was all right. I flew out the first year that we were there, and wound up having a flight canceled on the Monday morning in Calgary. So I spent an extra day in Calgary, which I don't mind, except that they're kind of arch rivals with the Riders right now. So
yeah, Shawn was flying the wrong colors.
We don't mention them as much. So,
but yeah, if everybody's trying to leave Las Vegas on a Sunday night or Sunday evening, give yourself a day or two after to just kind of woo-saw, absorb what's going on. It's going to be a busy time, but it's really going to be a lot of fun.
All right.
But we have a guest that has been patiently waiting.
Yeah, that's true. And he is passionate about helping people embrace their inner strength. As a sex therapist and hypnotist, he draws out the best in others. His work addresses the deepest shades of personal experiences, assisting individuals and couples in reaching new levels of healthy relationships, restoring pieces of the fragmented self, and becoming more confident lovers. Welcome back to the Hypnosis Hero podcast, Dr. Nic Natale.
Hey guys. Hey, it's good to be with you. Welcome to South Carolina. Now, this is my home office, and this is kind of where I work and dream and play and talk to people. And so, yeah. Hey, thank you for having me tonight. This has been great.
No, thank you for taking the time. I know it's early evening where I'm at on the West Coast, and it's well past dinner time on your end. So we do appreciate you taking the time.
Oh,
Yep.
this is how I prefer it. And so it works out well, able to kind of, go ahead and transition and have a good dinner. Has salmon tonight, by the way. Just kind
Uh-huh.
of enjoys that. And then, yeah, just getting ready to be with you guys. And so this is great. Thank you for letting me come.
No, our pleasure having you on. Um, so God, I had something in my head, and then I just went,
It
"Oh,
just
hold
it
on a
just it
second.
just it just left. Okay.
Oh yeah, my train of thought is still boarding at the station."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I would
All right.
expect this out of Dr. Nic because he's been, in our conversation earlier, he's been up since sweet Jesus 30 in the morning on the
Mm,
East Coast time. So
yeah, yeah,
you are
yeah.
definitely burning the candle at both ends.
Well, I usually start. I work with the professionals in the clinical setting, and so oftentimes they really want to begin their morning with sessions and then go on for a full day of work. So I actually begin clinicals around 7 a.m.
Oh
and
wow.
I'll go until about 3 o'clock, and then come home, get a good workout in the home gym and kind of enjoy kind of relaxing for a little while, doing all the administrative stuff you got to do. You got to do the notes, you got to do the follow ups and things of that nature. And but give me perfect time to be able to be with you guys and a good energy drink. I'm good to go, man. I'm with you all the way. Let's do it.
Yeah. So on the therapeutic side, does South Carolina require you? Is it because you're a doctor, or is it because the hypnotherapy side of things, you're treated as a mental health professional, where you
Well,
have to
that's a
have
very
all the
interesting thing. That Yeah, there's a couple different things. I'm licensed as a professional counselor.
okay,
So my doctorate is more academic than medical. And
okay,
so the work that I do is really under that umbrella of mental health care.
hmm
And so I had to be licensed to operate in South Carolina as a therapist, a licensed therapist. When it comes to hypnosis,
hmm
um, that's still kind of a gray area. We have plenty of hypnotists that kind of
yeah,
provide services, therapeutic services as consultants and things of that nature. But yeah, it's not very clear. A therapist, I'm excuse me, a hypnotist can't call themselves a psychotherapist because they're not
yeah,
licensed. But if they're licensed, such as myself, I'm a licensed psychotherapist, and so that's kind of how it works here. So yeah, every state is different though. So
yeah. I know Washington State is. It basically says you must have certification or training blessed off by somebody, but it doesn't list this is the curriculum or the skill sets that you have to demonstrate or anything like that. And it's like, and or have memberships in organizations or something. So it's kind of
right,
like,
yeah,
all right, I can go give someone $100 and they can go, here's your piece of paper that says
you're
go forth
certified.
and do hypnotherapy,
Yeah,
and pay the governor their share and whatnot. But I've been very, very reluctant to kind of go down that road.
mm, mm.
I like what you talked about as being a consultant,
Yeah,
where if somebody is a licensed psychologist, that I would call them doc, that you're operating kind of under their umbrella of supervision, and it's like, all right, we all know that we're going to do the hypnotherapy portion, whether it's insert ailment here that you're having a challenge with, and then after that's done, it's like, all right, let's see how well it worked, and I'm off and on to the next project.
yeah, yeah. Well, every state's different and it's quite remarkable, but we all kind of find our way. And one thing that I really enjoy is working with all manners of practitioners of the healing arts. And some of those are recognized and need to be by the state, and there be medical licenses or psychologists, therapists for sure, and social workers. But I also enjoy deeply working with individuals in the alternative space, and that's part of my work as well. And so, in
Oh,
today's world, we can do so many different ways of bringing about healing. And so, I've actually been a licensed therapist here in South Carolina for, oh my goodness, 25 years. This past March, I hit the 25-year mark. So,
and then I may have confused different titles and stuff like that, but are you in the psychology or a licensed psychologist, or is it does
that's a separate thing. Licensed psychologist, licensed psychotherapist,
Mhm.
or counselor, or sometimes therapist. We use those three meaning the same thing license wise. But a psychologist is someone really on the academic level. They really focus on testing. Some of them provide direct face-to-face client services,
right?
for counseling and things like that. But that's kind of rare.
And then
And
the
then you have
psychi
all your medical professionals, your psychiatrist.
those are the
Um,
ones that prescribe the
that's the ones
meds.
who provide the meds. Yeah,
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 which is probably just a whole nother realm of liability and documentation and paperwork that
of course, of course.
I have absolutely no interest in dealing with.
Me either. Me either. I appreciate them. I got some great psychiatrists I work with.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of the work that I do. But, over the years, my focus is really on helping individuals become better lovers.
Hmm.
And so oftentimes people will come up when they're wanting to address lack of desire, pain during sets, maybe ED issues, maybe they're coming out of the hookup culture and now they're wanting to emotionally connect more with
Oh, for
their
sure.
partners, things of that nature. And
Hmm.
so a lot of the work that I do as a certified sex therapist is, kind of helping people kind of navigate the sexual health realm. And so
Right.
that's what I get the opportunity to do.
And then is because you're doing the hypnotherapy side of things, is there, I guess, less record keeping, which means you're not really reporting to insurance companies and stuff like that, and so there's a little bit.
Brian, don't open that can of worms,
Oh,
man.
okay.
I mean, insurance companies, that is a whole nother realm. About 8 or 9 years ago now, I got out of insurance. I'm self-pay, direct pay, things of that nature. Insurance companies, they have a place. And I was talking with a guy today, and he was referred to me by a friend. He just moved into the state of South Carolina, looking for a good therapist, and my name kept popping up a couple different places. And he reached out to me. He says, "The only thing is, I need to use my insurance." And I was like, "I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I got some great people that I work with, and they're wonderful. But myself, I don't take insurance." And so,
And
but
I
nonetheless, ethically, professionally, we have to keep very standardized documentation of the therapy, the progress that we're making. And
mhm,
that's a big distinction. We're actually dealing with mental illness. And
right.
so, something of that nature has been diagnosed oftentimes. And I work in collaboration with the urologist, the gynecologist, the psychiatrist, and all those individuals, not to mention the legal system. They want
Mhm.
all that documentation.
Oh,
Uh, down.
it's nuts. I mean, I remember, back in my, insurance days when you're, looking at, not only your home and auto insurance, but, life insurance and
Mm.
stuff like that. And people are looking for, different levels of coverage. And for the different products that were out there, some, a lot of them had some type of underwriting. And then, the client's not going to tell you much of anything. And then you sit there and you run the application and it comes back declined. And you're like, what do you mean you've, been diagnosed with anxiety, you've got a small pharmacy in your medicine cabinet and all this other stuff. And it's like, as far, to a life insurance underwriter, you're a ticking time bomb.
Mm.
And so when you're able to look at some of these things without the medications. Now, I am not trying to detract anybody from big pharma, but it's like, if you genuinely need some of these big, strong medications out there, like, go talk to the professionals. But if it's like, I've got some butterflies when I drive, or, some anxieties, whatnot, you can, I would believe that, like, even with some of the PTSD that I was dealing with post-military, I worked with Jim and a couple of other people, and was able to get, and not so much get past it, but get the tools in the toolbox that I needed in order to deal with it. Because the medications that were out there, it was great, we solve one problem, we create 5 more, and now we've got to medicate.
Brian, I don't want to go into trying to discourage people to kind of seek the help that
Sure.
they need, because somebody's trauma may be at one level, somebody else's trauma may be at another level, and and it's trauma for both. And so big part of what I do, though, is really just kind of focusing on, I get to do this now because I've been kind of doing this for a while. I get to be able to, the people who come to me now are usually referred from another source. So another therapist, they kind of already done their big trauma place. They already done the heavy lifting around their trauma. Now they're coming in being able to say, how do I learn how to enjoy touch again? What do I do with, the kind of racing thoughts, or the bracing that I feel like I really want to do when I want to be able to receive and give touch well. And one of the things I just love to being able to do is actually use hypnosis as a incredible tool, because I believe that, recognize now, I've already been doing hypnosis now for a short period of time. I consider myself infantile. I mean, baby, when it comes to, some of the I call them gods, the hypnosis gods that I get a chance to kind of hang around with. Like you guys, you've been doing this for a very long time, and you kind of got your systems down and things like that. For me, I'm in that learning mode. I'm just grabbing and hungry for anything and everything I can get. And so one of the things I've learned, though, more than anything else, is this stuff is powerful. You allow it to begin to influence a person's life through hypnosis. Fantastic hypnotic sessions today. And just like we've seen before in so many different areas, when it comes to hypnosis at the intersection of sexual health, it's a game changer. I never had this much success in my career. But we're sitting here saying, hey, I don't know why, but I kind of crave this particular thing. Let's explore that. I don't know why that desire just seems to be blocked. I don't know why I brace. Let's explore that. It's just been remarkable for me. I'm having the time of my life. This is the best part of my entire career right now. And so that's just kind of where I'm at.
So I guess to kind of take us through, obviously without, disclosing any confidential information, what kind of take us through how you work with patients? If you, I guess, kind of without naming names, is like,
of course,
client came in with this, experiencing here, change genders, and
or just change the name to Brian, and then it works for everything.
We know Brian came in. The reality is, typically, I mean, let's just say for easy's sake, because one of the most frequent things that people come to see me in is they just, for whatever reason, just don't have that lack. There's a lack of desire. That passion that was once there has kind of faded away. And I don't just mean for each other. I'm talking about even within themselves, that they just don't feel aroused very much anymore, male or female. I get it from both. We will go through, of course, from a clinical perspective and kind of look at the biological potential factors there. There's several we have to consider: medication, hormonal levels, kind of the general health and things of that nature. And of course, I'm going to send them to their appropriate doc.
Right.
And this is kind of make sure we don't have any factors at play here that I need to know about.
Mm-hmm.
Once we kind of got the green light there, we will actually begin this education process, because one thing I've learned is that we think we know what we know, and we rely on that, especially around something as tabooish as sensuality, sex, touch, arousal. We got a limited though kind of framework we operate off of.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the biggest release is when people really finally capture that sex and sensuality arousal is far more than simply response to touch. It
Mm-hmm.
actually is really dependent upon what goes on in the mind. And this is a fascinating area that I just love to explore with people, kind of not just what arouses you with touch, but what actually grabs your attention.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually just begin an education process. And once we kind of get that down, we will start looking at the areas we want to focus on. And that's where it becomes, and this is what I do. It's not hypnosis and that's all we do. We're doing all kinds of exercises. We're doing all kinds of breath work type of things, holistic approach around health. I value personal fitness, nutrition, sleep levels, biohacking, and we kind of get into those professional type of things, because if you can see your body and get in touch with your body in terms of how's it feeling today, we can actually begin to awaken those passions back up. And this is where the hypnosis really comes in, because the blocks that will keep you from being able to embody that touch, once we kind of release that block, it just begins to flow. And I love it when blood is flowing to appropriate places and you can
Mm-hmm.
feel the sensations of it all. And then we're responding the way that we really want to. And so, yeah. Now, just for your audience tonight, you will see if you ever attended any of my talks, I am open. I love to
Mm-hmm.
kind of give information. It is free. Here it is. If you got a question about anything, feel free to ask it. And I usually say to people when I'm doing talks, this is the beginning of a conversation between you and I. And so, Shawn, Brian, audience, hey, you want to talk? This is the beginning of a good conversation. I
Mm-hmm.
usually tell people in my videos, perhaps it's time for a bold conversation. Maybe this is something you haven't really talked a lot about. But once you just kind of prick it, just begin, everything begins to flow, and it's incredible. And so that's kind of the way that I kind of approach this whole topic. I love it.
No, that definitely makes a lot of sense. And what are some of the? I'm trying to figure out what the best way to ask this, because I don't want I want to ask the question that in the event that somebody's struggling with these things, they can go, hey, I'm not this freak of nature. Um, what are some of the most common things that people will come to you for, and then that you really, once you kind of do that deep dive, that you uncover, hey, they came to me for this, but really it kind of traces back to either a deeper issue or an event.
Yeah.
If
So
if you kind of if you're able to
absolutely,
unpack what I was asking, yeah.
absolutely. So there's three of the what I call the big three that's probably fills up my clinical schedule more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Lack of desire, number one, by far. Number
Mm-hmm.
two is erectile dysfunction.
Okay.
Number three is pain during sex. Now, those are my big three. Now, men and women are going to struggle with, this lack of desire. Either relationship is kind of go fizzled and cold, the chemistry isn't there anymore, or something has changed drastically, like I got a guy I started working with last week. He'll come in tomorrow to see me as kind of a follow-up. And he got married a couple years ago. And for the first 20 years of his relationship, he hasn't experienced any sexual issues whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Divorced, remarried, and now, about 6 months into his new marriage, very little performance, very little interest, ED. And so nothing happened biologically. We got that kind of ruled out.
Mm-hmm.
But, so what is that? What is that about? And that's what we'll begin to unpack. One thing that I am always committed to being is curious. What I mean by that is I'm going to stay curious. I'm never going to assume that I know what it was or what it is. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to work that out. Now, I mentioned in Shawn, in your introduction, that I work with the fragmented self. What I mean by that is oftentimes we don't know what the issue is, and there's a piece that of ourselves that's just kind of off, fragmented, and we need to kind of get that synced up again. And once we do, then things can begin, I say, flow. Things can begin to happen naturally the way we want them to. But Brian, my big three are really those three. Now, there's lots of other reasons why people come to me. I see a lot of people now wanting to open their relationship. And so they're wanting to pursue
open, like an ethical non-monogamy
an
type
ethical
thing.
non-monogamy, or be a part of the lifestyle, or
Mhm.
something of that nature. And how do we manage that within a structure that's filled with taboo around it, a
Mhm.
structure that is purely monogamous? Our communities think about monogamy that way, and that's kind of the default. And we're talking about something different.
Mhm.
How do you handle, you're out with your date and you run across somebody that it's kind of
Yeah.
like, how do you deal with the feelings around that? There's just tons of stuff. But those are kind of the big things that I deal with. And then we have the issue of pornography. I do a program because when sex
Pornography, like a porn addiction where
yeah,
it's just consumed
yeah.
your life. Okay.
I call it, I'm from a school who approaches this a little bit different. We
Mhm.
don't really consider it to be an addiction, but we do consider it to be problematic. So a
Yeah.
problematic sexual behavior
Mhm.
of using pornography as a cover, screen,
Mhm.
coping mechanism, something that becomes unhealthy.
Mhm.
And so, but I help a lot of guys, kind of through that. That's probably my fifth, probably top reason why people come to see me.
Mhm. And then not really a whole lot of people who have ever, in their relationship, there is a infidelity or something on one or both sides that they go, okay, look, we got to either sort this out.
Oh,
Anything like that, or is that I kind of ask from the old family law paralegal days.
oh yeah, absolutely. That is definitely within my wheelhouse. I'm kind of known in this area. Before I began to focus on sexuality almost exclusively, that
Mhm.
was one of my biggest attractions or niches, let me say, was working with couples who are caught in that type of betrayal.
Mhm.
And so I do a lot of restorative work with individuals, couples, helping them kind of get into a better place. And not just kind of repairing the relationship, but asking the question again,
How did we get here?
yeah, and what were you after? What
Mhm.
is it that you're wanting there?
Mhm.
Um, because that's a different need at that point.
Yeah.
There was something that was going on, not just in the relationship, perhaps also in the relationship,
Mhm.
but something deep within that individual. Again, back to that fragmented self.
Mhm.
Um, so as you can tell, no matter what seems to be the issue, it's going to be a holistic picture where I'm trying to help the individual not only kind of solve their presenting problem, but let's look deeper inside,
Mhm.
deeper inside. And so that's a big deal for me.
Oh, that I would imagine that on the, you're trying to overcome infidelity, that you probably run through a lot of parallels with the people who want to go and uh, open up a monogamous relationship to other aspects, that they would kind of go hand in hand to an extent, because one is more restorative, the other is preventative, but really you're, not that you want to have a, infidelity relationship, be like, oh, let's do the open stuff, but you're trying to repair that mutual respect, the trust, all of that stuff. Whereas if somebody wants to open things up, it's how do we have the communication, how do we keep things from spiraling out of control, and then really do a evaluation of, is this something that we really should do, or is this kind of an early indicator that we might need to part ways and do so civilly?
Well, I hate to kind of break it down that simplistically, but some of the things you described there, Brian, is definitely possible. But more often, when I'm working with a couple, they're coming to me because they're either want to very consciously and forthrightly, kind of approach this question.
Mhm.
Could we open up? What would that involve? But it is true. Tragically, some people come to me in a betrayal setting, and yes, one of them had the idea that we could open up, but went without the other person. I had a case one time where he even tried to you'll know the term, that he tried to get his wife, get his paramour to meet his wife for a rendezvous,
Mhm.
and the wife rejected the paramour, and then the paramour got so upset and told the wife, well, this is what we've been doing. And so
Oh God, it's
all of a
like
sudden they're in my office, and
this
you
blew
know
up in my face,
and
super
so
bad.
yes, that happens. But there's some honest people who really do come to me, and they're saying, let's just ask them honest questions, because what we don't want to blow up our relationship. We don't want to blow up our kids' lives. We don't want to destroy, what we've been building, and things like that. They're asking honest, good questions.
I mean, the
And
example that you just gave, somebody was like, "Oh, we did a little bit of, cart before the horse,
yeah, a
and
little bit. Yeah,
ready,
yeah,
fire, aim."
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
Becca has a great question here,
Yeah.
and
What's that?
she says, "Do you help people explore or uncover, any of their kinks through hypnosis to create desires again? And is that something common people come to see you for as well?"
Yeah, absolutely. And so I got this review on my Facebook page now. I think you can find it on my Instagram as well,
Mhm.
at Dr. Nic Natale. But the video is basically saying, I never knew I would be. Now I'm craving it, but now I'm craving it, something like that. And it's
Mhm.
a review of a patient I was working with. And she came in and basically saying, this is something that I had no idea that I I couldn't ever imagine if you told me that this is what I would be wanting, and being able to live in and be
Mhm.
able to enjoy. And it was through good education and hypnosis where we allowed her to kind of experience. I'm not going to kind of give this for sensation's sake what
Mhm.
it was, but it gave her a platform to be able to explore that in all of its possibilities. And then we coached her around, how would you actually communicate this to your husband, that this is something you want to explore. And then we kind of worked through, kind of how to be able to explore that in a very understanding and open and non-secretive way.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, just kind of working through it all. And hypnosis was a big part of that. It gave her the the platform, the playground, I usually say, of you being able to explore this in a real way and actually deal with some stuff that could come up.
Mhm.
It is true, oftentimes, that we crave things that we don't know why. And
Mhm.
no, it's not trauma. It's not because I was born that way. It could be
Right.
any number of different things, but
Mm-hmm.
it happens to us. And so oftentimes, if you want to know, and you mentioned this earlier, Brian, what is
Yeah.
the one thing that, even though we may talk about ED or a kink, as this question was,
Mm-hmm.
or we're exploring the lack of desire, the one thing we are always addressing is shame.
Mm-hmm.
We have been able to see this academically within the research. At the core are almost every single sexual issue that is not generated by a physiological reason.
Mm-hmm.
At its center, it is shame. And so we have to use hypnosis to kind of allow that to be explored, especially some of the kink work that I do. You know,
Mm-hmm.
why do I want this? Why do I crave this or the other? And there's been a list of them that I enjoy working with people, help them kind of unpack that.
Mm-hmm.
And hypnosis is a beautiful way.
Now I'm gonna I'll shift gears slightly. We'll throw a little humor into this thing.
Do it.
Have there ever been times where somebody has disclosed something to you that just caught you completely off guard? And the example that I'm going to use is so hyperbolistic and over the top. It's like, look, I want to, be hung by fish hooks by the back and like have someone set my hair on fire or something like that. You're just like, wow, I did not see that coming from a librarian.
From a librarian. Yeah.
Something's fishy with that, Brian.
Something fishy. Yeah, I love the example, and I actually have a real life example that's close to what you're describing. He was an inspector for the power companies around here. Regulation type of compliance officer or something of that nature. But he one of his videos went viral because that's exactly what he does, minus the catching the hair on fire. I don't think he would like that, but he actually hooks himself and hangs himself on large hooks. And to the question of did it throw me? Not really. I mean, after a while, you hear one, you hear the other, you keep on hearing them.
It's kind of like a family law. You're like, nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I would, I'm never going to say, because I love being curious, I'm never going to say nothing's ever going to surprise me. But this was a mild-mannered man. This is a guy who just, I mean, he looks and works by the book. He knows the law of power plants compliance, but he has this side of him.
Mm-hmm.
And when it went viral, it almost threatened his job. It almost, threatened.
He kind of run that by me again. He posted a video where he disclosed that, or
now he loves doing it at kink shows, and so he'll go to
some type of festival or
some type of
gathering,
kink festival, and they're across the East Coast. I'm sure they're on the West Coast as well.
Sure.
And one of his videos went viral, and it got back to his company, and and it sent him into again that shame component. And
that's sort of from my understanding in that community. That's like, this is what you don't do, like top 5, general rules of thou shalt not, put this stuff out on the internet that, or identify somebody, call somebody out or anything like that. And then kind of on the flip side, if you do recognize somebody online or out in public, like thou shalt not bring up that part of both of your lives.
Yeah, of course. You want to have discretion and all that kind of stuff. That's a big part of it. I don't know the circumstances. That's more of a curiosity question for me that I wasn't able to explore with them, I don't remember exactly all the details there. But in reality, I mean, again, it has elicited so much shame for him.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with me? Why do I do this? What is this about? And we spent a couple of weeks kind of walking through it and seeing what it was and what it wasn't. And he felt very comfortable. And he
No,
went to his next show.
what was the shame kind of centered around, like, once my employer found out, which is my financial livelihood and everything, and they went completely bonkers and flipped out about it, all of a sudden that became a problem? Otherwise, he was kind of like, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is my jam.
Yeah, I think he really wanted to say that, but all of a sudden, everybody kind of in his community, his employer, his church, everybody, in his mind, everybody was talking about him, being the freak, things
Mm-hmm.
of that nature. And that's where the shame came from.
Yeah.
This kind of feeling that he, was something he shouldn't be. And that's exactly quite the opposite of really what kind of the way he kind of presented himself. It just kind of surprised everybody. And
Mm-hmm.
that's all it was. And to tell you the truth, it just elicited that shame. And it just caused him to kind of spiral about, well, what is this about me that, wants to do this? And
Yeah,
we
like,
spent
why is it so bad
correct.
in other
Yeah.
people's eyes?
Yeah. Yeah. If you're asking me,
No, no,
I,
I could imagine that's kind of what running through his mind or his thought process, kind of in a broad form.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really interesting.
Mhm.
And I imagine that I imagine there's a group of people, and again, kind of on the humorous side of things, that people go, "Oh, you're a sex therapist. Oh, this is just like a bunch of just beautiful, lonely housewives, just spitting a bunch, regurgitating a bunch of just erotic, porn and stuff in their mind, and like that's super exciting and fun." And it's like, no, there's a lot more that really goes into your profession. And some people can have the trauma that's probably not very fun to hear about, or listen to, and to really hearing about some of the how it impacts people, like you were talking about, whether it's shame, whether it's guilt, whether I'm harboring a secret from somebody, those types of things.
Yeah. I really do consider my work to be a calling, and
Mm.
and I wish it was as sensationalized as you just kind of presented it.
Yeah, it is far from a Dear
Yeah,
Penthouse
yeah,
letter. It's
yeah. It really, I think every single one of us, and this is just kind of why I recognize every single one of us has a public life that everybody sees,
Mhm.
private life that very few people see, and then there's that secret life that almost no one sees. And oftentimes that's the arena for which I am working.
Mhm.
These are cherished secrets. And when people do share, regardless of where they're coming from or what's going on in their lives, or where where they're wanting to go or what they do. I mean, one day I could be talking with a high-ranking pharmaceutical company CEO, in the next hour, I'm meeting with an everyday housewife,
Mhm.
and who has had 5 kids but has never experienced an orgasm, and she wants to discover that, and so it's a combination of different things, but one thing I just love to appreciate is that everyone deserves a fun, healthy, exciting sex life.
Mhm.
Everyone deserves that. Um, and it's not just for the young. It's not just for the married. It's not just for those who kind of have their lives together. It's not just for the able body. It's
Mhm.
not it is for every single one of us, because we all deserve a healthy and fun and exciting sex life. And the much as I can do it, I'm going to be able to help people kind of get there. And
Mhm.
that's a big part of what I love to do.
Yeah. Becca says yes, that she agrees that your job is definitely interesting, and it must be a great feeling to help people out and, in a way, finding themselves again.
Yeah. And Becca, I really do appreciate that because, that's what I get to do, but sex is more than just the sensations that we feel or the positions that we use or how we get off. Sex is far more than that. It is actually very much tied to how we even um, live and breathe. And I don't mean just biologically, because even the fantasies that we can experience is another way for which our unconscious mind, our unconscious part of ourselves, is actually keeping us safe and healthy. And again, we don't always know the reasons why we enjoy what we want to enjoy. And in the idea of there's a kink out there is actually becoming more understood as we have there's no such thing as a normative sex life that
Yeah.
people ought to be doing it in this position only, and anything outside of that. No, our understanding as professionals is everyone has their own expression, and it's only social and societal, cultural mores that kind of dictate about what we should and shouldn't do, what we call taboo. And so we kind of recognize that, hey, what we thought was kind of strange out there and kind of kinky. I mean, over half the world, the population enjoy being tied up.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kinky? Not really anymore. We have a better, deeper understanding about it.
Now, when you talk about, and I'll kind of throw this out there under the guise of a bit of a caveat, or maybe even a disclaimer, if we went that far, is that everybody deserves to have healthy, wonderful, satisfying sex life. I would almost go so far as to say, like, it takes a lot of maturity and responsibility that's involved, because while it's all great and wonderful, it can also be very devastating if it's, I guess, weaponized, if you will, or for example, a guy or girl that leads somebody on, all right, I'll do this, and then all of a sudden, boom, cut off, and then they just ghost somebody. It's like that could really have a lasting effect. So it's a wonderful thing, don't get me wrong, but treat it with the same level of care and responsibility that it deserves.
Absolutely. And we're learning a lot about the hookup culture and how it begins to really affect individuals who are now coming out of the generational hookup culture. And there are lingering effects of this that is lasting. And the example that you gave, Brian, is not atypical.
Mm-hmm.
Once that happens again. This past spring, I worked with a young man that in his 30s, he's now married. He definitely had a hookup culture type of lifestyle for a long time during his teens, 20 years. He loves the person he's with, but he just doesn't know how to have sex and emotionally connect. So
Yeah, because
we actually
through a sexual encounter, especially if you're sharing some of these very, very personal thoughts and feelings and desires with a specific person, there's an element where it builds a lot of trust and kind of brings you closer and a different level of intimacy, if you will.
we want that type of vulnerability. In the
Mm.
case that I'm kind of opening up for you, the difficulty we had is he wasn't able to emotionally connect with his partner at all. He was really struggling.
Mm-hmm.
He got the mechanics of sex down, but nothing underneath the hood when it comes to emotions about it. And so he wanted, and she definitely wanted, to feel that closeness that comes with intimacy. You know,
He's
there's
kind of like, and I'm spent. And then it's just sort of like, all right, off to the gym I go. And he's kind of like, okay, I got this woman next to me. Now what?
yeah. Oh, but you know, oftentimes what I see is this last stage of the sexual encounter, which is called resolution. There's 4 stages to every single sexual encounter. You have desire, arousal, climax, resolution. Resolution is when we're able to identify that individuals who just spent time pleasuring each other feel emotionally connected towards each other. It's something we can see in the scans. We can see it in the emotional responses. If you have sex with someone long enough, you will actually build an emotional connection with them. It's unavoidable. It's also why friends with benefits don't usually last long. They usually fall apart because somebody gets feelings. Somebody's going to catch those feelings and the whole thing is shattered. But the reality is when you're with someone and you can't emotionally connect, we got a problem. Resolution is unable to happen. And we want that to happen. But with the case I'm working with, a guy this past spring, we were able to kind of use hypnosis to kind of opening that part of him back up. And we did a series of exercises with him and his partner to be able to kind of, take advantage of resolution and what that means. It's not just jumping out of the bed as soon as you're done and go clean up. It's actually being spinning there for a few moments and actually holding and asking and connecting and things of that nature. That with hypnosis really opened up his emotions for him. It was incredible.
And was that a fairly quick resolution as far as
It took 2 months.
Okay. I mean, I think in the grand scheme of things, that's pretty fast.
Yeah. But when I take on a new client, I don't take on everybody that calls in. When I take on a new client, I usually will, within the first couple of sessions, give me a couple of sessions to kind of get a good understanding. And then at this time, I can give you something of an estimate of how long we're going to be working together. In general, for most things that we've been talking about today, I can really help a person really change their approach within 2 months.
Okay.
It's kind of my
2 months meaning this. 2 months meaning this is where they kind of begin to notice results, or they're kind of the majority of the way through their challenge.
They're going to reach their goal. I'm very goal oriented. What is it that you want out of this time together?
This is what success looks like.
This is what success looks like. This past summer, I think around June, I took on a new client who was divorced. He was in a new relationship now, but his main presenting issue was he ejaculated too soon, premature ejaculation. Under 15 seconds. Like entering, 15 seconds, he's done. Blowjob, 15 seconds, he's done. Touching, 15 seconds, he's done. And I said, okay, give me a couple of weeks here. Let me just kind of get the medical stuff out of the way. Let's kind of see where we're at. We were able to use hypnosis, some good education, and some good exercises. And by the time we were done, I think we did it like 6 weeks or something like that. So it wasn't quite the 2 months. He was lasting more than 5 minutes. Now, from 15 seconds to 5 minutes, we still, you can go a lot longer. But what I did, I gave him that tool to be able to keep on increasing his time. When he came in and says, I lasted more than a minute. I can't believe I lasted so long. I wouldn't have lost my first wife if I could at least lasted a minute. His life was changed. And we got him by the time he was done 6 weeks in me working with him. We got him lasting more than 5 minutes. Now, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it's Shawn, you're going to have to do the math on the percent increase.
I'm sorry, I'm a history teacher. And,
Yeah,
and
so
did you
I
want
don't do math either. It's kind of like,
and
I
did you
don't
want that in metric?
know.
Yeah. No, I mean it's kind of crazy. I mean, again, sort of the humorous part of me is, the first time that he was with his, new partner, it's like, oh, guess what? I bobbed, I weaved, 15 seconds, I was done. She's probably, running back to her girlfriends being like, girl, guess what I did? I'm a goddess and everything like that. And then it's sort of like, after a couple times, you're like, huh, well, I'm kind of missing out on some stuff. But yeah, I mean,
Well, I'm
I mean,
afraid that's what happened. That's what happened to his first wife, who stuck around with him for a number of years as they were raising a child. But the
yeah.
reality of it is, what got him to come in to see me was he just met someone. He wants to take it further, and in a lot of work that I do, it's not just how to last longer, but really how to actually be present in the sexual encounter where it doesn't feel as though you're being taken along and that
Mhm.
actually you're the one in charge of it. I don't
Yeah.
mean in a dominating way. I'm not talking about BDSM.
Right.
I'm talking about just presence of mind. You're kind of your own person. You know where you want to go. You know what you want to do. And I tell you what, Brian, Shawn, that was actually completely freeing for him to be able to kind of say, I'm actually in charge of all this. Because we ruled out it was anything physical.
Mm-hmm.
We ruled out, and he tried a bunch of medication. It didn't help. He just kept on, coming so quickly. But for him to last 5 minutes, I mean, he was ecstatic. I mean, over the moon.
Yeah, and kind of the stuff that you were talking about is feeling in charge and in control is also not the anxiety of like, oh my god, the clock is running out.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I've got to try to do whatever mental gymnastics or physical gymnastics to make this performance look good in the 15 to 30 seconds that I might have. And because I could see where that would just get stuck in someone's head. And
and that's what we see. Again, where the mind goes, the body is going to follow. If this is going to fail, if I'm going to mess up, if that's what he's thinking about, that's what his body will do.
And from the family law background, it's, sex doesn't make a successful marriage or relationship, but lack of a good sex life is a cancer that you are doomed for failure.
Yeah.
So if the math is correct, and Rebecca, that would be the maths, because I believe that's how they refer to it across the pond. That is a 1900% improvement.
It's pretty good.
It's 19 times longer than he lasted before.
I'll take it. He most certainly did.
If I can get those results in size, I would be a Greek god. But this is one of those things I'm so thankful that Grant Saunders isn't on this, because between the two of us,
well, we don't know if
we would be cracking up with just the jokes back and forth, primarily making fun of one another. But no, it's I mean the service that you provide your clients, I think is out tremendous value to them. Because I mean, what's to keep somebody from going, I'm a sexual failure, to just run down that rabbit hole, and then all of a sudden they're overlooking train tracks, or where it's like they're just going, I don't want to do life anymore, and you give them that second chance, far before it ever reaches that point.
Well, thank goodness I've never encountered someone who is at that grave of a situation, and I'm fortunate that I haven't. But with this guy, he almost did not pursue his new girlfriend because of this issue. And there were other women that he just kind of let go by the wayside, wouldn't go out with them, even when they asked him because he was already in that mindset of, I know where this is going to go. This is not going to be good. This is the reason why I lost my first wife. That's just kind of where he was at. But again, he did what he needed to do. And what I give with people, even with my hypnosis, because every time I do a hypnotic experience with someone, I get them to record it on their phone. They have it. It's for them. The exercises, oftentimes when I'm going over the exercises I want them to do, they'll sit here and they'll record my instructions to them, or hand it to them on a sheet of paper, because these things really can make a big difference. And again, it's the processing of the thoughts and the feelings. It's working on that fragmented self that I mentioned before. It's the exercises. It's the hypnosis. And so, there's a lot that is going on in the midst of the work that I do. And to tell you the truth, it's effective. It works. As long as we can kind of stay with the guy or with the woman or with the couple, it's going to work.
Now, if he, from 15 seconds to 5 minutes, infinity and beyond, if this relationship works out and there's a wedding, you would better at least get an invitation.
Yeah, I've actually attended several weddings, and
honorable mention and a toast.
I've never had that done, but I've had people fly me out to Colorado for their wedding. Just because, hey, wouldn't have happened or wouldn't have been, successful otherwise. And so, I love the clients, and to tell you the truth, I learned from them. But I was at I was working with an individual, and she became equity partner for a law firm, which is a huge deal. International law firm. The partners were there from across the pond. I mean, it's a big celebration, and she invited me to come and be a part of it. So, how do you know blank? I'm like, well, I'm a sex therapist.
I've been like, I'm going to politely decline. I'm going to defer my answer to.
I'm a friend. I live near her is what I end up saying. But it's kind of like, well, there's a double-edged sword to that. No one in this is kind of the joke. I usually tell it when I give talks. I had a pastor I was working with one time, conservative church pastor here in South Carolina, part of the Bible Belt and all that kind of stuff. And he said, Nick, I need to confess something, because we were working on his own sexual issues. And he said, I need to confess something. Your name came up in our staff meeting the other day, because we're putting on a marriage conference, and somebody suggested that you come by and give a talk on sex. And I was like, well, I'd love to be able to do that. Thank you, Pastor. He said, but I need to apologize, because I'm not going to get up on the pulpit and say, hey, Dr. Nic Natale, the sex therapist, will be here for the talk. He almost apologized. And then this is what he said. He said, hey, guys.
Leave my name the hell out of your talk.
Yeah. Then he was like, hey, you're kind of like that woman who lives out in the woods, and everybody knows she's there, but nobody wants to admit that she's there. And if you got a real big problem, you will go see her. I was like, Pastor, did you just call me a witch? I think you just called me a witch. And I signed my email to him, and we were corresponding and having a good time by a session. And I said, yeah, your personal witch,
You're a witch doctor.
I think he called me a witch.
If you want to come out into the woods and do chanting around a bonfire, we'll solve your problems.
I can do it naked too if you want me to.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like I recently went. I flew out to Florida and then drove up the west coast of Florida, over the Panhandle, and then up through Alabama into Nashville, Tennessee, and kind of drove around. Just did some.
That's a big drive. Yeah.
Yeah. A friend of mine was relocating from Fort Myers to Nashville. And so I got voluntold that I was going to drive the 4Runner and the U-Haul trailer and a very, very large dog. So we're going up there, and just when you guys talk about the Bible Belt, I would equate it. There are churches in and around the area, like there are Starbuckses in Washington State. And I was like, wow, like I haven't spent very much time down there. I'm like, God, they take this seriously down here.
Yeah.
But some of the most beautiful country that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, from the freeway, the scenery was phenomenal.
Absolutely. And it's a beautiful place to live. But we do have the Bible Belt culture here. And I mean, just for full disclosure, people who follow me will know this. I'm actually a former Southern Baptist minister. I'm still Reverend Dr. Nic Natale on some registry somewhere. I was ordained as a minister. I served for over 15 years in the church. And
so once you're ordained, you're that for life, correct?
They can take it away from you. They haven't chosen to take it away from you yet.
The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away.
well played, Shawn.
said another reverend.
But everybody kind of knows what I do and things of that nature. But the purity culture is kind of what we call it here in the South. It does make it kind of hard for people to kind of come to see me and things like that. There's a lot of taboo around that. Again, like the mom who has 5 kids, but she's never experienced an orgasm. That was a story all to itself, because she was referred to me, her and her husband were referred to me by her pastor. And I actually was attending the same church, and the pastor, referred them to me to see him because they had some marital issues. He didn't really know what it was going on, but they came to see me. But she'd never experienced an orgasm, so she wanted to experience that. And so I began to kind of help her experience her orgasm. And that involved hypnosis along with some other things, including exercises by herself. I need her to get to know her body, get to know her own sensations and fantasizing and things of that nature. And her husband went back to the pastor and said, this therapist is asking my wife to fantasize about other men, masturbate by herself, and exclude me completely. Who did you rescind me to? And
I was going to ask. I was like, what was the husband's response to this? Because
he did not
kind of in the blue collar area down there. Like,
he did not like that at all. And he went to the pastor to report me. And the pastor called me and says, Nic, what's going on? He says, Pastor, I can't talk to you about any of my therapy patients. I mean, you know the deal here. He said, well, would you, encourage her to find her own orgasm by herself first?
Now, you're like, if she could do that, I would not be needed.
Well, the answer is yes. She does need to find it by herself first. She needs to be able to explore it, enjoy it, celebrate it, and then when she's ready, she will share it with her husband, not before. This is her work. This is not his work. He needs to be on the outside of this, because that's what happens as a girl, as a teenager. She's in puberty. She explores it. She understands it. She begins to feel it, and then she shares it with her partner. Yeah. And you actually do the exact same thing, because this is not his. Her body is not his. Mm-hmm. But it was a clash, and the pastor did not like that response. And so I deal with the church quite a bit down here.
I was going to say you kind of have a two-front war going on in that respect, because first of all, hypnosis is generally not viewed as a up and up tool by the far right of the church. And then you're also dealing with issues that are generally, like you said, they're generally viewed as taboo, and you kind of deal with it internally, and you never go outside because that would be telling. And I think you navigate that nicely in between those two things, and you're absolutely right. Whichever partner it is that needs to do the work needs to do the work, and we often talk about that in terms of our students when they don't do the work. Well, can I have a makeup assignment? No, your makeup assignment is do the work.
Yeah.
And because you still need to learn, and you need to process, and you need to understand, and that to me is at the heart of what you do. It's learn and process and understand, and then you can experience.
And it's kind of like with the husband, you're like, look, dude, if you stay out of the way and let her reach the promised land, like, I'm going to give you your golden ticket.
It's interesting because
either that, or the alternative, it's going to cost you half your stuff.
Well, it was very interesting because, after that confrontation with the pastor, and it wasn't that much of a confrontation, I'll over dramatize it. But after that conversation with the pastor, all of a sudden, about 2 weeks later, she shows up on my calendar and she comes into my office by herself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's none of my business, but I'm helping her kind of work through under hypnosis, as well as, just personal exercises and things of that nature, helping her kind of find her own orgasm. And when she found her orgasm, she then shared it with her husband. And
was for my understanding, just so I'm following the story accurately, this is something under hypnosis that she has an orgasm in your office, or she got the tools, went home, applied it, did it on her own, and then, or is it a little of column A and column B?
Yeah. Let's clarify. That's a great question, and thank you for clarifying. But no, it isn't an orgasmic experience under hypnosis.
Okay.
Of course, we know that's possible, and that's kind of on the fun side of it, more erotic hypnosis type of play. And it's not really the therapeutic type of thing that I do. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
But there are blocks that have been there for a long time that has kept her from being able to experience that or give her the freedom. And those are the things that we explore under hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
Again, getting that shame, and the shame element for her, I remember it clearly, was this belief that my body is there for him and not for me. When she was able to see that her body is here for her and her own pleasure, then there was a flow that began to open up for her to be able to enjoy all that.
So it's kind of a bit of a culture thing that, and it's, I'm starting to notice, like, especially online, you have a lot of, women that are kind of calling each other out of like, look, a guy goes out and, after you graduate high school, college, or whatever, your job is work to support yourself and or family, death and taxes, the end. Where a woman goes, well, do I want to be a stay-at-home mom? I work part-time, work full-time, kids, nanny, all these different things. If I don't like a guy, well, I'll move on to the next one. And I'm excited to see, or encouraged to see, more of an awareness on kind of serving your partner, on both aspects. It's like, if he's going out and crushing it in his day job and you're a stay-at-home mom or spouse, it's like, you know what, you get to do the laundry. You're not fighting in traffic, you're not getting chewed out by your boss. Your job is to create a kind of that sanctuary, relaxing environment where he gets to kind of refresh and recharge. But what you're saying makes sense, is that it's not, a woman's body is not just for their partner. They need to get something out of it too.
100%. When I work with a couple or even an individual, at some point we always review one aspect of it all, and it's a question about what is a healthy sexual experience.
Mm-hmm.
A healthy sexual experience is when both individuals have a mutually satisfying sexual experience that is physical, relational, and spiritual. So
Mm-hmm.
mutually satisfying physically, relationally, and spiritually. That's when it's healthy. Anything outside of that, if it's too one-sided, it's not healthy. And so I actually use that quite a bit in talking with people. We want it to be mutually satisfying physically. That
Mm-hmm.
refers to the pleasure. Relationally, it feels like it's going to reinforce the connection, closeness of the relationship. And spiritually, and I don't mean religion, I'm referring to, again, that inner sense of self. I
Mm-hmm.
am true to who I am in the bedroom and outside the bedroom. This is me. I don't have to be someone else. And so, yeah.
So, a question going back to the client with kids. Did you ever have a conversation with the husband to kind of clear the air and settle him down, or was there ever
No,
a
that's not my place.
conversation? Okay, so there wasn't ever a conversation of like, hey, for the guy, like, what's your side of this? Is there anything that's there where you kind of feel like she's just going through the motions, so you kind of go, all right, this is what, or have you ever run into that where both kind of feel like they're just doing it to appease the other person?
Yeah, I'm afraid that one of the most difficult things I work with, Brian, is oftentimes the wife, this
Mhm.
stereotypically the wife,
Sure.
feels as though that she's under obligation. So obligatory sex. She's
Hmm.
under obligation to provide sex to her husband. Now, what happens over time is that negative association builds up emotionally, and the
Oh,
person continues to disconnect, 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 repress, repress, repress,
then resentment,
resentment, resentment, resentment, and then we have,
a powder keg.
a situation where legal is going to step in at some point,
Hmm.
in one way or another, whether that's through the court or law enforcement or
Both.
something of that nature. But the reality of it is, whenever we start seeing obligatory type of sexual patterns form in a relationship, it is the carry in the canoe in the coal mine. You
Hmm.
know, the miners used to carry the canaries down into the mines, and when they began to see that the uh, canary is out of breath, is dead in the cage, they knew their oxygen level is going to expire.
Hmm.
Exact same thing in a marriage. When the sex becomes, you know,
Non-existent.
or repressed or
Hmm.
obligation based, we're done.
I had there was a dive instructor that was teaching a pre-scuba class uh, when I was in the military, and I got to talking with him, and we were talking about like underwater, shallow water blackouts and things like that, where guys swim around underwater, and it's like the magical thing. You get them out of the pool, you crack the mask, and then they come back to the light. And he goes, yeah, it's kind of that interesting thing. He goes, sex is a lot like air. He goes, your normal breathing, it's not that important. You really don't think about it until all of a sudden you're not getting any, and then it becomes priority number one.
Oh,
And
interesting. I like that. Yeah.
so
I'm an
it's
open water diver as well, and I
mhm.
love the scuba. It's kind of what I do here, especially around the Florida area. Man, it got some great spots. So,
Oh, the water is amazingly warm. Now I never prepared for dive class or anything like that. I had a supervisor that was a former dive instructor, and he was like, "Oh, this is how we just go smoke the guys in the pool for the morning workout and everything." And that was the first time that I ever was actually dripping sweat in a pool of water.
Yeah.
And you know, you jump out, you go run outside in the grass and the snow, and you're just steam is coming off of you, and I'm like, this is insanity. But you know, definitely another story for another day. But yeah, Florida, I found was, you know, this is my first trip down there. Florida is flat.
Mm.
And I think there's a lot of Florida that's underwater. we were in the Gulf. We went, I think, 25 miles offshore, and the water was like 35 feet deep, maybe 40 in spots. I'm like,
pretty nice.
You go 25 miles off the coast of Washington State, and you know you come off the continental. Yeah, you come off the continental shelf there.
Yeah,
but no, it's yeah. And then, so what type of stuff do you have coming up? And you said I think there were some conferences.
Yeah, the big thing I'm kind of letting people know about now is this coming Sunday, I'm doing a training on sensual mastery.
Okay.
It's for hypnotists and coaches, and so it's kind of a broad, spectrum of topic here. We're looking specifically at the role of sensuality in the sexual play. Now, if we look at touch, there's all kinds of ways to be intimate.
Mm-hmm.
But if we look at intimacy that involves touch, we really could put it in three different categories. Affectionate touch, that's like pets on the cheek. We can talk about sexual touch, that's going for climax.
Mm-hmm.
But in the middle, we have something called sensual touch. And sensual touch is really the predictor of how satisfying sex is going to be.
Okay.
So when sensual touch can flow between the partners very easily, we're probably going to have better sex overall.
Mm-hmm.
But when we don't have sensual touch, it may have collapsed, faded away, stopped. Now we got a chasm. We got to go from pets on the cheek to fucking. That's a big leap. That's a huge leap for a lot of people. And so sensual touch is actually really essential for every single sexual success that we want to see. Mm-hmm. When it comes to individual who reports sexual satisfaction in their marriage, mm-hmm. they have strong levels of sensual touch. So that's why we're actually focusing on sensual touch and what is keeping a person from being able to give and receive sensual touch. Sometimes that's a relationship issue. Sometimes that's past trauma, bad experiences, or just someone who just isn't, kind of wired toward being able to give and receive sensual touch. Mm-hmm. But sensual touch is actually important. And it's like the caress as a person goes by. It's the
just the little things like you touch the small of their back or something.
Absolutely. Affectionate touch you can do with almost anybody. A good hug, a peck on the cheek, European welcome, easy. But sensual touch is between the two of you. And my course is really kind of focused on the importance of sensual touch and then how we're going to use hypnosis to kind of open up the blocks that may keep you from being able to receive and give sensual touch. So that's the course. It's going to be a great time. Got great responses so far.
Oh, wonderful!
It's a easy hour and a half, 2 hours it will be on, very much like this podcast. Mm-hmm. And when I do something, I give people just tons of information. Everything that I do is informed by leading research and cultural trends and a spiritual perspective. That's just the way that I talk. And just like people who came to my talks at HypnoThoughts or wherever I end up speaking, they get tons of information and extended Q&A time. We can just kind of go through stuff and really answer the questions. And And whenever a person attends a talk with me, just like this course coming up on Sunday, it's kind of like, hey, we're beginning a friendship here. I mean, people contact me from all over the world for consultations. And
Oh, wow.
sometimes I, kind of give them a pathway of how I would address that particular issue, or give them something they consider.
Is this other professionals that reach out to you going, I've got a client who's this, or
Doctors, therapists, psychiatrists, lawyers. Absolutely.
okay. No, that's God, that's really some powerful stuff.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, especially when you're, and what's a strategy that you use as far as, especially the international communications, where you're kind of like, all right, what's a spam bot and what's an actual legitimate person who's reaching out to me?
Well, for consultations, like, can you help me with this particular case? I was talking to someone, in Europe last week. It's a Zoom call, man. And so,
Okay.
they're reaching out to me, email. We set up a Zoom and we just kind of talk. And usually I will give, during my administration days, I will give a couple hours just for free consultations with people.
Right.
Hey, what you got going on? Let's just kind of tag team that. Now, I mean, personally, I wrote a book not too long ago, a couple years ago, but I'm not a big writer. But what I give to people is really myself and my time. And I am fortunate enough as a successful therapist to be able to charge a premium price, work with the people I want, small group of people, real concierge type of service. But for professionals, again, around the world, people reach out for different things. And let's kind of walk them through how I read it, my conceptualization. And again, everything that I do is informed by leading research. And so I stay on top of that stuff academically and kind of get the latest and see where it goes.
No, that's pretty awesome. And then, Shawn, do you have a link if people wanted to jump into that training that we could put up in the comments?
Yeah, I had the picture link. Let me just double check and make sure I've got a link. Here, come on,
Just
my
put
brother.
in chat. You can put it in chat and just say nicnatale.com. That's my website. Easy to go there. You can go on my Facebook page or Instagram. You can see it in the link tree. It's all there. And if anybody really wants to find it, they most certainly can.
And then, is there a cost to attend that training?
Yeah, it's a simple $27. Yep.
Yeah, sounds like a pretty reasonable price for a fair amount of knowledge there.
Absolutely.
And then, do you have a memorable? So link is on our in the Facebook comments, and then I think we're going to get. We just did the one for YouTube as well. So, was there ever? Do you have I guess a client or a result that really just stands out, where you felt, whether it was the first person that you helped or just something where you're like, this stands out a bit different than the others?
I had this wonderful couple who came to see me. They both were retired ministers. Okay. So they both were retired ministers in the Lutheran church, something of that nature. So both in, probably mid to late 60s. And it was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. He actually received a terminal diagnosis. And he said, or his wife said, "Hey, what can I do for you?" And he said, I have some things on my sexual bucket list that he wanted to check off. And he made a list and gave it to his wife. His wife looked at it and was like,
"There's no way I can fit into a little Girl Scout uniform." And
And so
my cheerleading outfit from high school is long gone. It's
they ended up in my office.
right.
So they ended up in my office, and I'm loving this couple. They're fun. They're funny. I would love to have been a part of their church.
You want me to do what for how many jelly beans?
And she was like, "Hey, listen, this man has loved me my entire life.
Mm.
I want to give him what he wants." And so we started going down the list. And
Right.
I got contacts of different people who do different stuff, and I kind of know this community or that community, and he's like, I always wanted to kind of be with a prostitute. I don't know what that's like. So she arranged it for him. I remember, like, I wanted to do a threesome. I never known what that's been like, and so she arranged it for him. So
It's kind of like, let's say, prostitute threesome. Okay, we can get two birds stoned at once.
yeah, I mean, it was a wonderful experience for them both, and every single session was filled with laughter and fun. We deal with emotions from time to time around different stuff, and
Have you ever had a situation where someone's like, "Hey, I want to try this. I don't," and then for lack of a better term, the cat gets out of the bag. Everything's disclosed. They're like, "Okay, cool, we tried it," and then someone's like, where were you 20 years ago? Like we've been going through life all this time without doing these things. Like, this is amazing.
well, actually, that's actually a pretty common thing. I mean, if you think about the housewife who had 5 kids, but she never experienced an orgasm.
Oh yeah, you
She's in
cheated me
her
out of 20
40s and
years.
she's never experienced an orgasm. She birthed 5 children. She's
Yeah.
never experienced an orgasm. That's quite amazing for her to be able to have her body for herself. And but yeah, that happens quite a bit. But anyway, back to the story about this couple.
Yeah.
They had a wonderful experience and several different things on his bucket list were checked off. And she just called me one day and said, "Hey, he passed away." And we just sat there for a moment. We cried, and she just said, "Hey, thank you for really helping us kind of help him in this very secretive way. No one else knew about it. No one else in the family that wasn't part of the funeral or the obituary or anything like that."
Thank you so much. I hope you would understand why you're not getting an invitation to the
Exactly.
memorial.
He just he was a good man, and he just she asked and she said, "Let's do it." And I actually continue to meet with her.
Scott King says, "I can't wait to watch the replay." So Scott, always good to see you. Hope things
Hey,
are well
Scott.
down in Texas.
God, I hope you're doing well, man. I missed you this year, man. I really did. I was looking all over the place for you, and so, man, I'm sorry I missed you. So yeah,
But yeah, we've got a couple of votes on friend or frenemy.
now I don't recall what this is. Now, what is this?
Now I feel bad because I know we've asked you this before, and the question's not exactly like a super secret thing anymore, but I don't remember what the answer was. So I'm
I'm pretty sure I remember what it is because there was a large discussion after the fact. And there's Scott's in. Missed you too, Nick.
Thank
here,
you.
I'm okay. You show it, Shawn. It's like trying to unlock the. It's like trying to unlock the door, the power door locks.
Yeah. All good.
So,
well, fill me in. What is this?
Okay, so as we all know, Jim Kellner had this thing. Pineapple does not belong on pizza.
true. Now we have to clarify that this is not. Well, if it's there, I'll eat it because I used to be a Marine or something like that. It's you're dialing up the pizza place, you're placing the order. Are you ordering pineapple on pizza?
Hell no. There's no pineapple.
And that's exactly what I remember the last time we asked you this question. You had a
I'm not
pretty
opposed
good-
to turning on the pineapple upside down, but we're not going to put it on pizza.
Kids, if you're watching, ask your parents about that and watch their faces.
pretty sure I marked this as 18 plus, at least on TikTok. So wouldn't be that many kids watching. However,
Hey, I've
Oh,
been
man.
very good for you guys tonight. I haven't gone anywhere. So
No, this has been a lot of fun. So yeah, are there any travel plans coming up? Any other conferences that you will be at, or just anything in general that's kind of new and exciting in your life?
yeah, I am going for the first time to the UK conference.
nice.
And so that's going to be a
Okay.
good one. And I'm looking forward to that one.
Tell us about that one.
The
for the
UK
people.
conference, my mentor is Dr. Frederick Ma. He's the one who actually instructed me, years ago in hypnosis. And he's a good friend of mine. We have lunch because he's here in Columbia. His office is about a quarter mile from my office. So I have that amazing resource. Dr. Ma and we have lunch about every 2 months. But he speaks at the UK conference quite a bit, and he has convinced me this year to go and be a part of that one.
Where will
And,
that one be held?
that one's in November, and
Usually in London.
it's in
Okay.
London in November. And I've already met some incredible people who are going to be there. We're just kind of talking behind the scenes. I'm really looking forward to being a part of that one. And I'll be looking at the Dublin conference next spring. And I also will be down in Orlando in the spring. And then, of course, at Hypno Thoughts in July. Now, I'm not a big promoter of my stuff. Please understand what I'm going for is to learn from other people.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, that's really what I want to. And it seems like each one of these conferences, it just gives you incredible opportunities to meet some fantastic icons in the industry. And the UK conference is, from what I understand, it seems to be a little bit more scientific based, a little bit more hypnotherapy. And
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Is that
yeah.
kind of a balance, or is it more hypnotherapy versus performance?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
so. I think so. That's my general impression, and that's kind of the word on the street. And I need that. I need
Mhm.
that. And I enjoy the other conferences for sure. But I've never been down to the Orlando one, so this will be my 2026 will be my first year going down there. And so I'm
Okay.
looking for that too. And I had thought about attending the performance one. I need to let you guys know, as a hypnotherapist, I value what I can do as a quick demo to people to be demonstrated. And I get a lot of that from actually stage hypnotists,
Mhm.
and so I learned quite a bit from you guys. And so I've even toyed around with coming to the performance summit that you guys have.
Definitely do.
We would value your attendance, and so in any of your, I guess, your clinical practice, have you utilized any of the rapid speed inductions?
Absolutely.
Or okay.
Absolutely. Really do. Because a part of the work that I do, uh, I again, Shawn, you were kind of referencing that there's a lot of suspicion in generally around hypnosis. And what I found, if I can demonstrate its power pretty quick, I kind of have a person who get on the other side of that suspicion. And
Mhm.
so I actually used demoing as a great opener for me in some form or another in the office. And so again, just to simply say, hey, your mind is more susceptible than you think. And I'm just demonstrating something that's very quickly, and that's all it takes to help them get over it.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I value performance hypnosis quite a bit. And I feel if I'm an infinite when it comes to hypnotherapy, I mean, natal when it comes to performance. I take small little steps that I can.
Come hang out. There's going to be a lot of different fun activities, some outings, uh, things like that. I think there's kind of a tentative plan to go out and actually do some street hypnosis. So if there are folks that want to, uh, we should have videography out there. So if people want to get some type of footage of them doing stuff to throw in like a electronic press kit or a highlight reel,
Right.
and it would be awesome to even see you out there just doing stuff with people.
Yeah, I would love to.
And
Yeah.
so and then yeah, it's going to be great. A lot of opportunity to do some networking and just for lack of a better term, I call it fellowship. You're
Mhm.
just and there's not like a religious connotation or anything. It's just you're hanging out with a group of people who get along and
They're
want to
your
trade
people,
stories.
right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned Hypnothoughts. For anybody out there that's watching that doesn't know what Hypnothoughts is, it is the largest hypnosis conference in the world. Think 700 or 800 hypnotists running around one hotel in Vegas for a week,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And the number of learning opportunities and connections you can make. And, hey, that was kind of interesting. I'd like to know more. And you leave with your head, literally being discombobulated because there's so much information. But then you start looking at the independent conferences like Michigan, ICBCH, Mid America, Heartland, the Performing Hypnosis Summit, Pacific Northwest. All of these conferences have something else that they can offer that you don't necessarily find at Hypnothoughts, and that's time. It's especially PHS, because Brian and I can talk about this until the cows come home. I can hear them out there. It's
Which
Saskatchewan.
means they're almost there.
Well, as long as they don't come to my home, there isn't enough grass to sustain them all. But anyway, the Performing Hypnosis Summit, this last year we had about 120-ish people on the ground. We had a lot more that joined online, but the focus was, how do we present ourselves as hypnotists? How do we everything from how do we book shows to, the business side. You mentioned that, got to do it. If you want to have, income, you kind of need to have that process in place. All the way to the other side of the fence is like yourself. I'm a hypnotherapist, but I use these techniques. How can I either A, get better at them, or B, learn more so that I can do the demos and I can do these things and feel confident in doing it.
Right.
And last year we saw a number of relationships just kind of blossom out of nowhere, by a bunch of people who never met, and many of them had only heard of the conference for the first time that year. So
And it was definitely unique. And I'll throw some credit to Chris Jones. A friend of mine is a clinical psychologist here in Washington. And I was talking to Chris and I said, "Hey man, I got a friend of mine back home. He wanted to be here, but last minute scheduling and stuff like that." And he says, we're over at Catherine Hicklin's house, and so I've got my buddy on video chat, and I'm kind of showing him around all the Star Wars gear. And I'm like, "Hey, Chris Jones is here." Tap him on the shoulder. "Hey, this is my buddy I was talking to you about." And he's like, "Oh, hey, cool." They're chit-chatting, and he goes, "You know what? Hypnosis really needs people with professional designations after their name, like psychologist, psychiatrist, all those things, because it gives credibility to, the hypnosis craft as a whole." And so that's where somebody like yourself can really add a tremendous amount of value.
Yeah, I've had a really welcomed experience when I've dialogued with different organizers about joining their conference or being a part of it in one way or another. And I've been really, really welcomed, and I really appreciate that. this year at Hypnothoughts, which is the only one I really has been to. I've been doing over 25 years. I have to get every single year a certain number of continuing education credits. So
yeah.
I'm conferencing all the time, like all the time. But I have never had the experiences professionally in like I have with hypnotists. And Shawn, you just mentioned some great rundowns of amazing conferences, and I really do appreciate the people just like yourselves who get behind them and say, "Hey, let's just make this happen," because that's my draw toward these conferences. Because I've spoken at Hypnothoughts. I did what do they call it? A pre-conference. I did a pre-conference this year on finding your erotic self, your erotic profile. And it was a wonderful time with them. But I do want more interactions like I have with Dr. Ma, Frederick Ma. I want those relationships. And I have formed some great friendships at Hypnothoughts. But I want to see them in Orlando. I want to see them out in Summit. I want to see them in UK. In some of the people, I'm really, really getting to know. But again, I'm learning. I am learning, and I'm loving it. And so it's been quite amazing for me. I have never been around a group of people, a group of professionals who love their profession and who are so welcoming at the same time. I was expecting clits, an old word, or I was expecting just groups of people kind of huddle around together and trying to get in and break into that silo. That is not what this has been about. It's been like, come on in, let's see how this thing goes, and this has been wonderful. If I had known about this 10 years ago, I would have done it 10 years ago. 20 years ago, I would have done it 20 years ago.
And I would say,
the old proverb, there's only two times when it's perfect to plant a tree: 20 years ago or start today. Plant that tree today, because you only have today. That's all we have. And so anyway, I can preach a little bit.
No, it's and that's one of the things I really like about Performing Hypnosis Summit is that while you're gonna find people that know each other from outside of the conference, when people will go out and go have lunch or kind of break off into their side conversations, it's not like shutting anybody out. Half the time it's, hey, I've got an idea, I want to run something by you, and there's little collaborations. But there's what I really kind of pride myself on with PHS is that there is no hard selling. There's no, hey, here's a flyer, sign up for my class, I'm doing this, and then they're kind of like waiting for you to pull your phone out or your wallet and stuff like that. It's a lot of, hey, how can I help you? What can I do to collaborate? But I think Jeff Bennick was a great example. He says, I'm willing to talk to you about, programming lights and some of the other stuff, and even using Q Labs for some of the sound effects and cues. I can help you design a show, but like, there is a cost for my service, but let's talk and figure out what we can make work. And I get that, because that is his primary profession outside of performing. So there are some costs to doing business with people, but whether it's videography, websites, things like that, there's a lot of stuff of just, I think I looked up Chat GPT, entertainment hypnotists make up like a tenth of a % of the entire working population. And it's like, there's plenty of work out there. There's not any need for this scarcity mentality.
And even when you think about hypnotists that are actually business presenters, going into businesses and working with people in the business themselves, there aren't that many people who really actually do that.
Yeah. Great quote, Scott. The world thrives when old men plant trees whose shade they know they will never sit under.
Okay, so you're telling me, Scott, I got to go plant some trees now.
You're not that old, Shawn.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. You know what? It is just about that time, Brian. I think we need to get some hypnosis going in here.
Awesome. So I'm going to let you throw the disclaimer up.
Oh yes, disclaimer.
I'm gonna run real quick to the little hypnotist room, so I will be right back.
All right. I always love how Mike and Chris do their disclaimer for the brain software podcast that they have going. But basically, if you are watching or listening to this now and you're cooking, you're driving, you're doing something that requires your attention, stop listening for the next few minutes, or mute us and come back to it when we come back. But if you are doing this after the fact, pause it, get someplace where you can experience the hypnosis portion of our podcast, and then you can carry on with whatever it is that you're doing. And actually, the reason cooking is in there, and I say this almost every podcast, I was doing a live on TikTok, and I kind of joked about the fact, you shouldn't be cooking while you're doing this either. And one of the ladies that was on said, "I'm glad you said that. I was in the middle of chopping vegetables." And I'm envisioning a sliced open finger and stitches and everything like that. So we always make sure every podcast to put out this little disclaimer. So be safe, get yourself comfortable. If you're comfortable on a sofa or a couch or your bed, whatever it is, as long as you're safe and you're not going to unduly injure yourself if you happen to get really relaxed. It's all good. And with that in mind, I'm going to turn it over to you, sir, and take us away.
Very good. Well, what I would love to be able to do tonight is give you an opportunity to actually touch that part of yourself, either within your imagination or even physically, where your sensuality is held. And so each one of us kind of holds our sensuality in different parts. And what I would love to be able to do tonight is actually just give you an opportunity to become in contact with that part of you. And if there's any block, we're going to be able to address that in some form or another. But as I mentioned throughout my entire talk tonight, this is an open invitation. This is an invitation for you and I to begin a conversation together. I don't want to just kind of do something and run away. You know me, you know how to get in touch with me. Let's begin a bold conversation. And with that, what I'd love for you to be able to do is just simply, in your own way, sit back, close your eyes, and take a deep breath. Very good. Take a second deep breath. Close your eyes and have the opportunity to take your next deep breath. In through your mouth, hold for just a moment. Slowly release through your nose. Become aware of different sensations within your body. As you exhale, you may actually feel your chest begin to actually relax muscles. You can feel the tingle of the different muscles throughout your whole abdomen. Take that next breath and allow yourself to feel. Now I'll begin. Whenever you hear the word sleep, you will also hear the snap of my fingers. I want you to be able to simply release when I say the word sleep. Release. Release a part of your overall imagination, a part of your thinking that's taking place right now. Because I want to take you to a special place where you can use that powerful imagination of yours to simply sleep. With your eye closed, taking a deep breath. With each heartbeat, with each breath, allowing yourself to go deeper, 5 times, 10 times. Sleep, go deeper now. Allow yourself to go there. Enjoy what it feels like to release, to surrender. Feel what it's like to let go, because no one is asking anything of you. No one is wanting anything from you. This is your time to actually become in contact with everything that is going within. You will have many thoughts going through your mind. You will have many opportunities to be distracted. Focus on the sound of my voice and begin to release sleep even more now. 5 times, 10 times deeper, allow yourself to go down. You know what it's like to surrender. When you begin to actually wonder how difficult it is to move your hands, how difficult it is to move at all. Because the deeper you go, the better you feel. The better you feel, the deeper you go. The deeper you go, the better you feel. The better you feel, the deeper you will go. Wonder what it would be like to allow yourself to go even deeper. Sleep now. One thing I would love for you to be able to do is to find that space that is in between. You know what it's like to be fully awake. And our minds and our body oftentimes wants to find sleep. But what about that magical place in between? That space in between, where dreams can begin, where you can let go sleep even more now. Because one thing we know about every single one of us is that we have a fire within us. That fire is desire. That fire is passion. That fire is the sensations that we feel within our body whenever we begin to think about what it's like to actually feel aroused. I invite you to find that fire within you. Maybe it's a small fire. Maybe it's a large raging fire. Where you're at, I have no idea, but I want you to find that fire that is within you. Find that sensation, that touch, that actually ignites that fire even more. Kind of like adding fuel to it. What would it be like to actually feel that? And with each breath, you can feel that little small flame grow even larger and larger. With each breath, you allow yourself to feel even more. With each breath, you'll let yourself go even more. Surrender. Surrender to the sensation. Allow that sensation to be. Because no one wants anything from you. This is your chance to feel, to completely and absolutely feel what it's like to be aroused when no one else is looking. That secret part of you that you love, to actually let go. You may feel your body respond as that fire grows. And as that fire grows, your desire increases. And what everyone wants from you is simply for you to feel. Because no one wants anything from you. Nothing at all. Feel what it's like to be in your sensual self. Allow that fire to grow. Allow that fire to become more than what it is right now. As you drift, as you surrender, allow yourself to be aroused, to be awakened, to be who you are sensually. You are unique in your own sensuality. And what may come to your mind in terms of images, fantasies, desires, it's a part of you that you can experience free from guilt, that you can experience free from shame, that you can experience within yourself. And it is a beautiful thing. Because you are a beautiful thing. You're a beautiful creation of this universe. You will live and breathe and sex and love in ways that are unique to you. And whatever may come up to you for right now in these sensations is a big part of you. And what I would love more than anything else, what everyone who loves you wants more than anything else, is for you to be able to embrace that about yourself. Because you deserve a wonderful, fun, exciting, sensual life. Experience that a little bit more right now. It's a beautiful thing. Take a deep breath. Feel it throughout your body. And know anytime you're ready, you can go to this place at any time and feel these sensations all over again. Because you are a beautiful creation. It was full of sensation, sex, joy, touch. You are a beautiful creature. When you hear me snapping my fingers again, you will wake up. And what you remember is everything that you experienced. And everything you experienced was a wonderful treat for you. 1, 2, 3. Wake up. Enjoy that time. And if you ever have any thoughts or questions, I'd love to talk to you about your experience. Thank you guys for allowing me to share that with the audience.
Absolutely. All right, let's drop this disclaimer. And as always, you can come back and listen to that again and again and again, because it will, although Facebook does wipe things after a month, YouTube still has a running total all the way back. I believe this is like episode, I want to say in the high 80s or low 90s, I think 89 or something like that, which it is testament to the fact that we've done this for a few years now. So
time flies when you're having fun.
It does indeed. All right, let us know how that was for you, and while you are getting your bearings and letting us know, we will mention, of course, Sunday is the workshop that you are hosting. It is a very reasonable price for the value. And if you are a hypnotist and you want to take advantage of that, you can go to Dr. Nic's website, and I'm going to pop that right back into the chat. And it is right here. Just like that. Boy, those typing lessons came in. I had a typing teacher that if this was typewriters, if we didn't balance the yardstick, because it was that long ago. If we didn't balance the yardstick, it was it was about the same time as we converted to metric officially.
Right.
But if I didn't balance the yardstick over my wrists, she'd take the yardstick and whack my wrists with it.
Oh, you went to Catholic school.
I was going to say it, but yes, that is true. All right.
So Becca says she's feeling great. And then website for Dr. Nic. Nic without a K, Natale.com. All one word.
On TikTok, we have hang on, let me take my glasses off so I can see Alte saying that I think it worked. He says I got immersed, so that's good.
Oh, they got a big word.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
And Scott saying time flies when you're in trance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. All right. Next week, join us again for Hypnosis Hero. Next week, we have Dr. He's not a doctor. Well, is he a doctor? He's a judge.
He's an attorney.
He's an attorney. He is, of course, Joe Beth Bowers, the judgmentalist, will be joining us again, and he's got some really cool stuff on the go with some of the things that he has been working on. And if you haven't seen any of his reels yet, they are out there and they're looking really, really sharp. So take a look at that and visit his profile, give him a follow. Of course, follow Dr. Nic. You can catch him on Facebook. You can catch him on Instagram. And definitely thank you so much for joining us. It's a lot. I know it sometimes seems like a lot of information, but it is something that I think you've niched down because there aren't that many guys that actually do what you do. There are a number of ladies that do that especially for women. But there aren't a lot of guys who do what you do. And so thank you so much for sharing with us and being with us tonight. And we will see you again, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you guys so very much for the opportunity. And I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing and catching up again sometime.
Sounds
we'll definitely have to do a part 3.
Oh, yes. Not even part 3. Chapter 3. Let's continue the conversation continues.
You'll update the new star date in the captain's log.
Yeah. So I should open every broadcast now with a captain's log entry, right?
I think we should.
All right.
I mean, you've got the pin. You just
I got the pin and I got the pips.
And the uniform.
And a uniform. There you go. Not a costume.
Yeah.
It's all good. All right. Take care, everybody. As always, we end off saying take care, stay well, and be awesome. Good night, everybody.
Guys.